Hey, do you ever think about what is real? Do you ever stop to think what is true? The way I understand it is that truth is an objective portrayal of reality. That means that pretty much reality is anything that is real, anything that is precise, and anything that exists regardless of opinion. So, in other words, truth is not bound by knowledge, understanding, or our own human limits. Okay, now with a framework of what truth is, another question that comes up naturally is, well, what is knowledge? How do we verify knowledge? How do we know what knowledge truly is? In other words, does what we know affect what is true? Well, there's an old thought experiment that says if a tree falls in a place where nobody can hear it, nobody knows that it fell, and nobody can see it, did it actually fall? The answer seems straightforward, right? The tree did fall. Okay, then prove it. If you don't know that it fell, you didn't hear it fall, you didn't see it fall, then how can you prove that it actually fell? Something that you'll quickly realize is that every single method that we have to prove things is biased in some way. Every single method that we have is influenced by our senses and our own subjective perception of reality. But going back to the thought experiment, did you ever come up with an answer? I know some people who did. Let me give you their answers. George Berkeley has an answer for it. The answer is esse is percipti, which means to be perceived is to be. To him, physical things are ideas in the mind. So if they aren't perceived, they just aren't real at all. This is called idealism if you're interested on it. However, other thinkers have ideas of their own. Immanuel Kant, with his transcendental idealism, says this: we can never, even in principle, have knowledge of things as they are in themselves. This is from his book, Critique of Pure Reason. David Hume answers with empiricism, saying that if you don't perceive it, then you have no way of proving it. David Hume answers the question with empiricism, arguing that if you didn't perceive it or measure it, you can't prove it. Everything that isn't measured is an assumption. And Bertrand Russell, a modern realist, will argue that it is the things we do not perceive that are the most real, as he puts in his book, The Analysis of Matter. As you see, there is no obvious answer to this problem. There is just multiple thoughts offline with some truth to each. But what do we do with this then? Where does this leave us? Well, this basically means that we don't have a 100% infallible method to test reality. My personal opinion, I think that should give us a lot of humility. At least to me, I love being right. But I understand that there will be times where I think I'm right and I just don't have a way to prove it. Or also, there's times I'll think I'm right, but I'm basing my truth on subjective ground, which is my own perception and my own logic. So even that is fallible, even that can fail. So that takes a huge weight off my shoulders, understanding that I will not always be 100% right, even if I try my best. The Bible says in Proverbs 21:2 that a person may think their own ways are right, but the Lord weighs the heart. Let's be more humble. Let's have open ears and open hearts for what other people have to say and their own experiences. Because the reality is, we don't know what is true. But anyways, that was just my own opinion. Thank you so much for watching before anything. If you learned anything, if you thought it was cool, if you thought it was fun, if it made you think, consider liking and subscribing for more content like this. Also, another thing to let you know, maybe you can think about this. Me as a Christian, I have an objective truth giver. That also takes a lot of weight off my shoulders. I believe on what I believe because an objective being gave me objective truths, objective morals that I follow. It's not out of my flawed thinking, but rather it's out of an objective truth giver. So that's something else to think about. But anyways, if you disagree with me, please let me know in the comments. If you agree with me, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching until here. Have a great day and God bless you.